We strong.
Welcome back. Roster the people. Neil Smith, Jason Draven. Week 9. Happy Halloween. I'm one day early. Whatever. Sue me. One day early. Happy Halloween, everybody out there in TV land. What's up, Glitchy?
Glad you made
Sorry, we're getting a little bit of a couple minute late start. It's the end of the month. Both Jason and I are slammed. So we're here though. We're here. We're doing it. Got a long, full show here for everybody. So, hang on, I'll tell you.
Feel like it's a Bills.
I have the Ravens at 6, and I have the Bills at 10. So I'm gonna say Ravens. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, again, don't think you really can mess this up. Ravens are favored by more. Just always makes me a little more nervous because that game's probably going to be lower scoring, so it's probably safer to go that way, and it's not a division game like Bills and Dolphins are.
Well, it's also the strength of the Ravens is their ability to stop the run, and the Broncos' entire thing is being able to run the ball. So if you can stop them from moving the ball running and put it all on Bo Nix.
Well, Bo Nix runs.
Bo Nix runs, but the issue is that Bo Nix is more likely to make mistakes. If he's going to have to actually manage the game from the pocket at any level, and they can contain him, that game could get ugly. So, because the weakness of the Ravens is the secondary. That's what it is. So, if they can neutralize the running, that's why I have the Ravens higher. But I will say this: I think the Ravens is a better defense overall than the Bills this year. So, what's up, Dr. Squatch?
Been a minute.
Dr. Squatch is here. That's fine. I like it.
Works out, especially with Love potentially being out.
Yeah, if you don't need Mooney, like if that wasn't critical, sure. Like I'm good with that. Especially because I believe this to be the case. I know the Ravens have already had their bye, and the Packers bye is next week. So I like that too. Is that you've neatly sidestepped having to worry about the whole bye situation. So you can just, if you don't need Mooney, he's not doing anything for you, then I think it's a good move. Oh dear. Okay. 6-point passing TD.
It's probably gonna be Flacco.
Probably.
Even though it's a tough matchup, I still think he's gonna throw the most here. We're not sure May plays.
Well,
we're not sure Love plays.
I would say May's probably not playing. Would be my guess there, because he still has to clear the protocol.
Yeah.
Love is at least on the sideline riding a stationary bike. So they're talking about it, but I'll tell you, I have Love rated at QB 20 right now because I don't know what to do with it, because I don't have quality information. No one does on whether or not he's going to play. And it sounds like they're literally going to drag that out until the last minute before kickoff. So you're going to have Gimpy Love, even if he does play, and Trevor Lawrence, who has not played well at all this year and is going to be without
Kirk.
Like any, I'm like, what does he have? It's actually easier, right? Like, what's faster?
Ingram.
He might get Etienne back.
Strange.
Yeah, he might get Etienne back.
Yeah,
that might help. But I think it's going to be Flacco by attrition.
Yeah,
this is kind of the issue here. And yes, I agree. It is a bad matchup for Flacco. People are like, "Where do you have Flacco? What's going on with that?" And it's like, "Yo, I have Flacco at like 21, QB 21, because I don't love this game for him. For him, uh,
Wow, that's funny.
De-
I also have Flacco at 21.
yeah, Detroit's pass rush is really good, and Flacco's old. Like he ain't outrunning anything anymore.
Yeah,
So if they can't protect, it's going to be a long day for Flacco. He's going to get whacked pretty hard.
yeah. Vikings like to put on some pressure.
I think if I'm the Lions, I would be making it a point to put some pressure
Not,
on.
not the Lions, but Vikings. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. I'm reading the wrong thing. Either way,
but
literally looking at the Jordan Love things. I have Jordan Love
they did both pressure a lot.
to each other,
So
and they both put it. They do. It doesn't really change my
yeah.
answer. Yeah, it weirdly doesn't really change. The Vikings also like to blitz, and I think they will do the same thing. I think they are going to pin their ears back and try to prove a point here. Do I think DK will play? No, I don't.
Yeah, it's a big question mark.
I do not think he's going to play. I think he needs another week, and they're probably going to give it to him. That's what I think it is. I know he wants to play. He's been pretty open about that, but I don't know if that's going to happen. What I was going to talk to you about, Jason, while we wait for smart questions to come in, is the whole Joe Flacco thing. You know how there's like a formula to the NFL? Like there's a pattern that exists. And it just goes completely against the pattern to do what they're doing. It's just really strange. And I'm trying to think of other examples of when teams have done this and then gone back to the person that got benched. And I'm like, it doesn't really work that way. Like typically. The
Well, I mean, they didn't
Panthers,
really bench Richardson. Are you talking about after? So you mean moving forward? Do you think Richardson comes back because they're?
I'm talking about long term. Like think dynasty. Like what's up, Polo? I think like dynasty level. Think longer term. Like this year is what it is. They've already stated what they're going to state for this year. It's Flacco until he crashes the car. Until something happens. But my thing is like long term. Like if I had Richardson in dynasty, and I don't really have many dynasty Richardson shares, that would be like terrifying because I'm just thinking long term. Like when does that ever happen? When do they ever go? You bench a guy in season, which is look, you can call it what you want, but that's what happened. That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
He's being benched. Like, and they could say whatever they want about bad metrics and all this other stuff, and then him coming off the field for that play and whatever. It doesn't matter. Like whatever the reason, the underlying reason is, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we are where we are. But when can you think of a time when they sat somebody down like this, and then like in a future season they go back to that person? Like when does that ever happen?
Without an injury.
Yeah, right, right. It doesn't. Exactly, which is why I find all of this very perplexing. Because they're just like, well, we're not giving up on him. And I'm like, yes, you are. Quite literally, that's what you're doing. Like, I've never, like, and I had this conversation with people yesterday. I'm like, well, it's, sometimes they put people, they give them a clipboard and let them sit. And I'm like, right.
Their first year.
At first. Well, even Love, like, that's the example that I was given was Jordan Love. And I'm like, well, they had Jordan Love hold a clipboard for 4 years almost. Like,
yeah.
Like he was the backup. Like that's different.
And about Aaron Rodgers, he did the same thing.
Right, and then they do that. They're doing that with
Patrick
Penix.
Mahomes.
Michael Penix is doing that right now. Like, but he's not playing. Like, it's different when you go out, you run a guy out, you start him for like he's your starter. Yes, last year season was cut short. He's your starter this year. You spent a first round pick on him to be your presumptive starter. Now you're benching him, and I'm just thinking like, when do they ever do that and then go back to that guy in future years? And I'm trying to think of any example in 15 years of doing this that like I could think of, and I've been racking my brain since yesterday trying to think of something, and I don't have an answer. Like I can't think of an example of when that happened. The Panthers sitting Love.
Well, I'm trying to think of like, so the thing that keeps coming back to me is the Commanders. Like, did Griffin and Cousins do that, or no?
Kinda, but that was so long ago that like I don't really remember that chain of events because I remember what you're talking about, where they had the two of them, and then like there was all that controversy, and then RG3 kept getting hurt.
Yeah.
So it wound up being Cousins. It worked itself out, but I don't remember the exact mechanism, like at each interval of that, because that also played out over like 3 years.
Yeah.
And I don't remember that. Maybe that would have been one.
I mean, that's the only thing I can kind of think of. But even then, you're starting with your old quarterback first. Old being,
Right.
I mean,
Right. It's
relative, I
so
guess, but like your new hotness going to, yeah, I don't know.
I'm assuming you mean Amari Cooper,
Yeah.
and he's got a wrist injury that he sustained in last week's game. If that's the Cooper that you're referring to, which I think it is.
Correct.
So he has a wrist injury. He's genuinely questionable. It also would explain why he maybe didn't play much last week, is because he picked up a wrist injury in the game. Wrist injury for a 30-year-old receiver, not great. Not what you want to be reading or hearing about in your case. So don't love that. I will say I have him at wide receiver 25 at the moment. If he can't play, obviously he'll get removed, and Shakir will come up. Keon Coleman will come up.
I actually have Shakir higher either way.
I don't know if anyone else would come up. Those would be the two that would come up, though. Even whether or not you had him higher is not. I get it. I get why you're chipping that in, but I'm just saying I don't. It's not super relevant in this case, directly related to answering his question.
And then I don't. Yeah, it has to be him because Cooper Kupp had a full practice today.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it's so strange what's going on, and with the Colts thing, I just can't. I was wondering if you could think of an example of when you have a guy who was your starter that you spent a first round pick on, then you're benching him, and then we're going to go back to him in a future year because that's just not done typically. And then also typically what happens in this transaction, and this would also be relevant to the dynasty crowd. Their GM is probably fired, right? Like Chris Ballard is done, right? That's the end of that. Like Chris Ballard, I looked this up. Chris Ballard's been with the team for 6 years. He's got a 58-64 record as the GM, and I could see this being the end of that. If that team cannot go to the playoffs and win a playoff game, going to the playoffs doesn't do it. You have to win a playoff game with this roster. If they can do that, then I think it's fine. But if they can't do that, then I would be terrified about my Richardson shares moving forward. So something to keep in mind for the future if you're worried about that kind of thing. All right. Picking up Stafford, dropping Caleb rest of season. Caleb's schedule is horrible. Yes, it is.
Again, so what comes down to keeping Caleb for me is the fact that I'm not as worried as Swift taking the touchdowns. Stafford, like, they want to run the ball and reduce the risk of him turning it over in the end zone. I mean, and they have a very capable running back that can do that. Like, Williams is guaranteed pretty much a touchdown every week. It's been proven so far, whether he has his stars or not. So.
As long as Kyron's legs hold up, which is always the issue with Kyron, but that's kind of not related to the quarterback. Like it's on him
when it comes. Well, yeah, the legs not so much, but
yeah.
The fantasy does, because if he's out, then yes, I don't believe that they're going to believe in Blake Corum to try and score. They will definitely be passing it to Kupp or potentially
Puka.
Higbee or Puka. Maybe
I think really what it boils down to is like I think in reality what this actually boils down to is what do you like as far as quarterback rest of season? I think really is what this question kind of boils down to. Like if we don't get into the specifics of picking up Stafford and dropping Caleb, I think that's part of it as well. So Let me get my rest of season rankings up. Let's do it that way. Let's see. I have adjusted
Yeah,
these
because I
pretty
really don't
recently.
think it's massively different.
I have Caleb at QB 13 rest of the way, and that is for the reason that he brought up, which is the rest of the schedule is not good. Caleb has to play. Okay, he's got Arizona this week. He's got the Patriots after that. Then he's got Green Bay.
Could be worse.
And then it starts to get ugly. Minnesota, Detroit, the Niners, Minnesota again, Detroit again. And then Seattle, if you made it that far in the championship. Don't love that. It's not the worst schedule that I've seen. That's Jared Goff actually in the playoffs. Think about it.
Yeah, but on that same note, Rams play
I know
Seahawks, Dolphins, Patriots,
so that's what's fun.
Eagles.
So I have Stafford at 14 is where I was going.
Like they're pretty close.
I have Caleb at 13. I have Stafford at 14. So the reason that I'm giving it to Caleb is because he's younger and he just has that much more rushing floor. But it's all as from a schedule perspective, it's all bad. So if you're looking at something that would be better late season kind of playoff wise, I have a few different ideas. Like if you're looking for you might want to consider carrying 2 quarterbacks. I don't know who your other quarterback is and how the rest of your team works, Josh, because that information is not there. But here's what I'll tell you. What I would suggest is is Kirk Cousins available? I know that's like a crazy roller coaster, but I might consider holding 2 quarterbacks. And Kirk Cousins' schedule down the stretch, much more friendly. And he has been slowly kind of getting into it.
Here's the thing that I find really funny that is you might laugh at me for and is super dangerous. Daniel Jones. Have you looked at his schedule at all?
I try not to think about Daniel Jones. Oh, you know what? I'll pull it up right now. Oh Lord. Oh Jesus. Oh, okay.
If you're looking for playoffs or even after week 12.
That's insane. He just has all plus matchups all the way.
With neighbors likely back.
That's so frustrating because I just can't trust this. Okay.
I know, but you want to, don't you?
Not really, because I've seen them play football.
But there's nothing that scares me there except for the Ravens.
He has only plus matchups. It's just plus matchups. There's only good matchups. No, even the Ravens doesn't scare me because the secondary is so bad.
Yeah, they're gonna have to throw.
I'm not worried about that at all. That's hilarious. Oh man, I
thought you'd appreciate that.
That's the ultimate knife edge. Yeah, no, I love it. Even starting now, Washington, Carolina, the bye, Tampa, no defense to be found. Dallas, their defense has been horrible. The Saints, their defense has been horrible. Baltimore, no secondary to be spoken of. Atlanta's defense is terrible the week after, followed by the Colts and their terrible defense in the championship week. It's all gravy. It's just upside. That's horrifying. Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, that's the ultimate knife edge.
I mean, if we're playing that game.
Okay. So I will say I have Daniel Jones down at QB 28 rest of season. I know they're all plus matchups.
You have to move them up, right?
Probably ahead of a few of the guys that I have down here, but not ahead of some of the other guys that I like a little more. What I'm more looking at is things like I can tell you what I'm more looking at rest of season. Bo Nix actually was where I was going because Bo Nix he's doing what you were hoping for. It's just taken a while. He's improving every week. He's the opposite of Anthony Richardson, who's actively unlearning how to play football in real time. Bo Nix is the game you can tell is slowing down, and he's actually starting to get more comfortable, and he also has an incredible schedule. His schedule down the stretch is not as good as the schedule I just rattled off because nothing is, but it's really good. He's got Baltimore, then he's got KC in week 10. Don't want to do that. But then it's Atlanta, the Raiders, the Browns, the Colts, the Chargers. Sorry, but it's true. and the Bengals and that's a lot of that. There's a lot of gravy in there. So and Bo Nix is widely available. So I would recommend looking at Nix. I like Cousins because he's rounding into form and you kind of know what you're getting. I like Nix if you're a gambling man, and also if Cousins isn't available. I like Mayfield's schedule.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and he's gonna chuck it no matter what. It doesn't matter. And then
Gardner Minshew.
No, the other one that I was gonna suggest is Jameis Winston, but that has nothing to do with the schedule. That has to do with Jameis. That has to do with doesn't matter if it's double covered, baby. Doesn't matter. Not relevant to me. Like that's Jameis Winston. That is that man, and I love him for it. And that team, I am just praying that team wins like 6 games in a row. Please put it directly in my veins that under Jameis they win like 6 games in a row and get back in that division. Please. I don't ask for much. I would love that. It would tickle me. It would tickle my funny bone in a very serious way. So those are going to be my recommendations. Kirk Cousins, if you wear your khaki pants and you like to pull them up and wear a belt and suspenders, Kirk Cousins. If you like to gamble and you like some rushing floor, I like Bo Nix because he's been improving and the schedule is good. Then it's Baker, but you might have to trade for Baker, and I don't really want to trade for Baker. And then final one would be for me would be famous Jameis because he's just gonna chuck it. And then if I was insanely desperate and I was just completely hard up and there
looking at the schedule,
it's Daniel Jones just from the schedule, but I hate it. I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about that at all.
I knew you wouldn't, but I had to bring it up because dang.
LASIK Winston. I love it. Oh my god,
because that hit like moving after this week. It's so pretty to see every team that he faces.
That's crazy.
And it's not fair because they're like actually looking like a good team.
Okay.
Like for fantasy wise.
So basically his options right now are Caleb, Stafford, Trevor, Daniel, Jameis, May. I'm eliminating everything off this list that isn't Daniel, Jones, and Jameis. And if we're getting to that point, then we see how Jameis plays for the next 2 weeks, and then we make decisions based on that. Like that's what we do. If that's my list, if this is what I have to pick from,
fine scratching Trevor, fine scratching Herbert, and fine scratching May. And maybe even Stafford. I really like Caleb's schedule. I know people are scared of it, but again, curious to see Winston because he's going to be what he is. And then Jones intrigues me because of the fact that the schedule is just a thing of beauty for playoffs and bye and everything else. It's outstanding.
That is the
pretty much
reaction to everything that we just got.
I know, but like Neighbors should be healthy. He has a good running game now. Like it's falling into place.
I know he's got a good schedule. I would never trust this.
Yeah.
I don't trust. See, the issue with Levis is I don't trust the thing that's right here. I don't trust any of this. The brain part. Don't trust it.
The things that I like are actually, I like the Titans' rest of the season schedule for sure because I love Pollard and I love Ridley. But outside of that, no way.
Yeah, no.
But those are both volume plays too.
Yeah, right.
Because you know they're going to see 10 targets and 15 plus carries. Or 15 plus touches. Carries is probably excessive, but
do we think that CMC is playing after the bye, or is Isaac worth picking up?
I'm guessing that they will ease in CMC. So I would pick up Garendo, depending on what you have to drop to do that.
Yes, I would also consider picking up Garendo, and here's why. It's because they are going to open his practice window let's see. They said
They did a
next
soft
week.
open this week. Like they said, he would be practicing if they were playing.
They said next week, 2 days ago, they're going to open his window. So that tells me that they're saying he's going to do simulated practices over the bye and then go into real practice in preparation for week 10. That doesn't fill me with an extreme amount of confidence that he's going to play. And even if he did, to Jason's point, are you really going to give him the full workload? Really? I don't know about that. So I would consider Garendo. I would definitely consider Garendo for some of this. Yeah. Shad, you're still watching. What are you dropping? What are your drop options? Put your drop options in here and we will tell you. What are we considering
that's
cutting?
kind of
That's what I
important.
need to know. Put them in here and we will tell you. I would say yes in theory, but I'd like to know what you're cutting. Okay. If DK Metcalf doesn't play, who do you have rated higher of Swift, Chase Brown, or Kate Otten?
Swift. No, Otten's probably pretty high.
Yes. I probably have Swift slightly higher than Otten because Otten is a tight end, and that definitely changes it. I don't think it's going to be Brown.
Brown plays the Raiders.
That's ROS.
But again, he's splitting. If it's PPR, it's probably Otten.
I don't know. Arizona's terrible. I will tell you in my flex rankings, and this is a function of how flex rankings work, because position matters for this. I have Swift rated higher, but I will tell you I'm eliminating Chase Brown from this conversation pretty much entirely. Because if you're telling me that my choice is either Swift or Chase Brown, well, then I'm playing Swift. So we can just kind of, by process of elimination, Chase Brown comes out. So really, you're talking about, do you play Swift or Kate Otten becomes the question here. And that really, the way you sum up that question is, does Kate Otten score twice? Because if you believe Kate Otten scores twice, then it's Kate Otten. If you don't think Kate Otten scores twice, then it's Swift. It's pretty straightforward. Like, Kate Otten would need to score 2 touchdowns realistically to outscore DeAndre Swift in any given week. That's what you're talking about. He did do that last week. It was pretty fluky, but he did it. I will tell you this. This is how I will answer your question, Glitchy. Swift is a much safer play, as in I know what I'm getting. Otten is a much higher upside play.
Yeah.
That's the way that you evaluate this. Is if I need a 40, who's more likely to get me a 40? Weirdly, it's Kate Otten. Because they don't have anyone else to throw to. So that's just what it's going to be until Mike Evans can get back. So, because we've all seen now what that's going to look like. Sterling Shepard's going to run around for half a game. McMillan is raw and needs another year at least before we're going to be able to evaluate that properly. Baker clearly doesn't trust him. And the one thing that he does trust is Kate Otten.
Yeah, Rachaad White. Well, yeah.
To a point, yes, Rachaad White as well. But I'm talking about as in like a true pass catcher. But Rachaad White is basically a pass catcher at this point, given what his career, what his job is. So I will tell you that Swift, in a matchup against the Cardinals, who their defense isn't good. Just I don't know if anyone's noticed, but the Cardinals' defense is bad. Like it's it's Swift in what is a pretty good matchup. Despite what the overall metrics say, the metrics are like, oh, it's a medium matchup, and I'm like, I don't know. You seen that defense? Like, they're pretty bad. But Otten presents more upside. That's what it is. So it comes down to how do you feel about the game you're going to play? Do you think you're going to win? And do I just need to have consistency and points? Because that's Swift. Or do I think I'm going to lose? And I'm scared about losing, so we'll put Otten in. Honestly, don't know that you can make that decision wrong between those two players. Don't know that it could be really wrong. But all right. We got that. We got that.
Golly.
Jason's dying. All right. Say goodbye to Jason, everyone.
Pretty much.
All right. Start 2 in the. I didn't read this. My brain didn't read this. Mason, get out of here, Mason. I know who this is. I worked it. Out of here. I should have known. Thank you, Mason, for boosting the Twitch numbers. Tune in for Mason's show on Friday called Locked In to get all your betting takes. Start 2 in the flex. Twix, Reese's Cup, Nerds Clusters, or Almond Joys. A lot of good choices in here. Jason, what do you got?
Nerd Clusters and Twix.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I have the unsurprising to no one. I have the exact opposite. Reese's Cups and Almond Joy, baby. Coconut for life. Delicious.
I get it. I like Almond Joys, but it's in the name.
Can I be honest with you? I've never had Nerds Clusters in my entire life.
Oh my gosh.
I've never had Nerds. I know what Nerds are. I've had Nerds, but I've never had Nerds Clusters. I don't know. I'm not. But if you're asking me if it's Twix v Reese's, I go Reese's every time. Like that's. I know a lot of people like Twix. I get it. I understand. It's not like I'm telling people that they're crazy or anything here. It's
I just like the crunch.
To quote George Costanza, as we know, it's the only candy bar with the cookie crunch. Shout out to anyone, my fellow 40-year-olds who got that joke, who understood that reference. But I love Almond Joys. I was always the kid who was like, I would used to get all the Almond Joys because people hate them. So I would trade all the candy I thought was trash to get Almond Joys. So like all your Bit of Honeys, get that crap out of here. No one wants that. like that's disgusting. Like,
whoa,
it's not even
40-year-olds are getting real upset here, Neil.
Yeah, well, they're always upset about something. And frankly, they're up past their bedtime at this point, and they really shouldn't be watching me. As I told one of my coworkers, unattended children that are they were talking about trick or treating and sending a bunch of people around my neighborhood, and I'm like, unattended children that come by my house are given cappuccino and taught to play Magic the Gathering, and you deal with the consequences of that. I hope you got some money, and like, that's how that works. Like, okay. We did that.
Also, Twix has an ice cream bar.
That's how I know it's Mason. How I know. It's true though. All right. Anthony's here in a standard scoring league.
Maybe that's where Anthony Richardson ends up. Next year, he's a Titan.
That would make a shocking amount of sense. That's in the division even. And
who cares?
In a standard scoring league, which wide receiver should I trade away? Pittman or Worthy?
You're probably going to get a bigger return for Pittman, but I'd rather trade away Worthy.
Worthy. Because you're trading away Pittman now at his floor, and now it's like, why bother? Now we have Flacco. So here's the fun thing about Pittman. His stock can't get any lower. So even if Flacco shows up and totally fails, it actually doesn't matter as related to my Pittman stock because it's already on the floor anyway. Love it. So that means it's only can go up. So I want to wait on trading Pittman. And this is a good PSA. I was actually going to bring this up. The majority of leagues trade deadline this year is week 11. It is either right before or right after week 11. So we were going to talk about this some today, and I was going to make a whole thing about it next week. The trade deadline special that we usually do, going through trade deadline stuff. I've already been compiling a fun list of trade deadline sells and acquisitions. Spoiler alert, Josh Downs is featured prominently on that list. For those of you who are members of our Discord, I posted my rationale yesterday for some of that. So, so right now, that's what I would rather hold on to Pittman, at least since the trade deadline in all likelihood isn't for another 2 weeks, this week and next. I would wait and see what I can get out of Pittman. If Pittman blows it up for the next 2 weeks or even has decent games, it would certainly help your return if you were going to get rid of him. Whereas Worthy, Jason, I'll just give you my opinion. I don't know that it matters. Trading him now versus trading him 2 weeks from now, don't know that it really matters.
Well, part of the reason I like trading him now is he just had a boom week. I mean, it wasn't a big week, but he got to 13.7 fantasy points.
Which is for him is for this is a boom week. Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of his first week where he had 2 touchdowns, I think. But still.
Long time ago.
Yep.
All right. So that second question: would you trade for Achane, Stevenson, or Dobbins?
That makes me have to go back to look at
Rest of season.
Yeah. Achane, Stevenson, or Dobbins.
Well, I can tell you I have Achane rated the highest of those.
Really? I think Stevenson has a pretty nice schedule.
Stevenson is the one that is the most attractive and the most achievable of those. Okay.
Just based on matchups.
Just based on matchups.
Yeah.
Dobbins is going to get a lot of volume, but I have concerns about his knee for the coming down the stretch.
Also, his schedule sucks.
His schedule is poor. So I'm kind of not super interested in the whole Dobbins thing. If I had Dobbins, you probably just play him, but I'm not going to go out of my way to acquire him. Achane, I think, might be expensive.
Yeah.
Is going to be your issue here. So, boy, we're kind of doing the show that I was going to do next week. Now, I have Stevenson on the trade targets list that we'll go through next week because right now it's very achievable. Like, yes, he had a 22, but it's been wildly inconsistent. He had a 3, a 6, a 0, but in the games where he actually gets work and they can find a way to stay in the game, 20, 16, 17, 22. These are your local scoring system may vary. But that's kind of what it is. And I don't hate a lot of his matchups coming up. He's got Tennessee, he's got the Rams, he's got Miami. They're not going to get blown out of all of these games. So I like him as a potential running back target. But that being said, Anthony, does help if it would help if we knew how the rosters for these other teams worked. I'm assuming this is one league, probably more than likely. Might not be. But let us know. But I'd say Jason and I kind of agree. I'd say it's probably Stevenson is the one that is the most attractive and most attainable off your list there. Oh Lord.
Shakir. Yeah.
Yes. Go do that. That's an easy one. That was easy. That was easier than I thought. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Right now.
We did it. We got there.
It took more processing time than it needed to, but
okay, these are the cuts.
Could probably cut Parker.
I would say so.
Could probably cut McMillan.
I would say that would be fine too. I'm not cutting Tillman. I'm probably not cutting Algier.
Yeah.
Not.
And you're not cutting Jennings.
Yeah, and you're not going to cut Jennings.
Yeah.
I'd say you'd be more than free to cut Parker
Washington.
Yeah. Parker Washington is not something you need. And then McMillan, I'm not.
That was just a name and note for me on Monday. That was somebody I want to watch and see if it's.
And I'd still say it's worth watching, but I don't necessarily need to roster it. I think it would be more important to roster Garendo than it would be to roster either McMillan or Parker. You don't really need that stuff. Whereas Garendo literally might be starting for you if Christian McCaffrey needs another week.
Yeah.
And
should.
Yeah, and he looked good. What, you think I'm stupid? Mason, you think I can't do 2 + 2 = 4? Come on, buddy. Yes, Reese's is goat level. Reese's is a top 3 candy, like globally. It's
That's fine.
Reese's is amazing. It's way up the chain. Like it's and Jason, you like look again. Individual tastes may vary. I'm just talking about like if we're going by the candy power rankings globally. I got to imagine Reese's is in the top 3 if the general public is voting. You know what I mean? Like it reminds me of that. Also reminds me of Seinfeld, as most things do. A lesser babka? Never. What makes it so good? Peanut butter again and again. What is score? You know what score is?
I know what 100 grand is.
Me too. I know what 100 grand is. I will say also, I haven't had 100 grand. I haven't had 100 grand.
Oh, it's one of the few things I get every year.
I haven't had 100 grand since like 2003. So like
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't like this. It's milk chocolate, and what's I just read it. Toffee, butter toffee.
Oh, I know what this is.
Nope.
Oh, I've seen these before.
Nope.
I've never had one of these.
I do not like toffee.
Oh, okay. I've never had one of these before. It's basically a Heath bar. Or it's like I think it's like literally the same company.
I mean, they look similar.
If you type in score and go to images, there's all these pictures of that next to a Heath bar, which leads me to believe it's either the same company or those are the
two brand,
or it's the same. Yeah, or it's the two brands that compete. It's there. You go. Okay, so it's a Heath bar. Okay, good to know.
I do love me 100 grand.
I have never had a score bar in my life. I don't know what that is. I've had a Heath bar. I will say, Jaden, that is I don't mind toffee, but the one thing I don't like about toffee is picking that crap out of my teeth.
Same issue. That's the reason I have the 100 grand on Halloween for that reason. It's like I can have one or two, but it gets stuck in your teeth.
Yeah, it's the same reason I don't eat Butterfingers. Is because it gets stuck in your teeth, and it's like, I don't like that. I don't deal with that crap.
Same reason I don't. This is gonna be a hot take. Same reason I don't really like popcorn.
It depends. Yeah, it's funny. It depends what kind of popcorn. I like some kinds of popcorn more than others. It depends. Like, I like cheddar popcorn. I really like cheddar popcorn. My inner fat kid loves it. I'm not actually a fat person in real life. I'm like 6'2", $185, which is I try to stay in some level of shape despite the fact that I have little bird arms. But like I don't eat a lot of candy as a result of that. I just don't eat much candy. And so when I do splurge and eat candy, that's why I'm like the worst person to ask about candy. Like, because people ask me, they're like, "What kind of candy do you like?" I'm like, "I don't eat candy."
Sour Patch Kids.
I will eat Sour Patch Kids. I learned recently Sour Patch Kids are vegan. I didn't know
vegan?
that. Yeah, they're vegan.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm not vegan either. I have a friend who is though. And
but SpaghettiOs are not. Thought that was a fun.
That's not surprising. God only knows what's in that.
It's delicious.
Could be anything. Anything could be in there. Could even be a boat. It could literally be anything. That's but that stuff is like some of that stuff is messed up. But I will say, like for me, it's like the candy power rankings is like Snickers is like way at the top. Like it's like Snickers like all the way up there. Like it's ascended. It's God tier. It's that type. It's delicious. It's basically like if you really match it up, Snickers is basically just a power bar, but it has too much sugar. That's kind of what it is. Like it's basically the same thing. It's just Snickers has too much sugar in it to really be like. But if you need cheap energy, like a quick burst of it, Snickers is a pretty good choice. Like if you got to go like on a hike or something, I actually sometimes prefer a Snickers to like a power bar because the power bar is going to sit in your stomach and it's going to take forever to kind of work its way in. Whereas that Snickers, baby, that's just that cheap energy and you just burn that sugar up real quick. Like, and if we're exercising, it's kind of okay. I'd like to point out that I am not a doctor or a licensed physical therapist or anything like that. And that is not medical advice in any way. That is just an observation that I have had as an old man, as an old person.
I like My go-to is Midnight Milky Ways. I love the dark chocolate.
Oh, I've had a Midnight Milky Way. It's okay. It's not my personal. I don't love.
It's just hard to find things that are dark chocolate like
good
that.
luck finding that in general. But yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't love the nougat of the Milky
Yeah.
Way. It's not my favorite thing. But I love Reese's. I love Reese's, and I love Almond Joys because I love coconut. And I know a lot of people are like, gross. How could you eat that? But I love almonds and I love coconut, and it's like it's all the things I like in one container. And I'm like, what are you doing? You people don't like this? Or crazy? Like it's. I also like dark chocolate too. I know a lot of people don't like dark chocolate, Jason. A lot of people don't like it. You ever had a dark chocolate Hershey's with almonds? It's pretty good. I was impressed. I don't really like Hershey's very much, but I liked the dark chocolate Hershey's with almonds. I thought that was good. I enjoyed that.
Oh, what are those things called?
All right, Jason, there's a kicker question for you.
Oh, God. I have Seaver right now. I could get Bass, Elliott, Richard, or McLaughlin. Question is it for this week? I'm guessing.
I'm assuming that. I don't know why you would worry about kicker rest of season when
because then you can just
cut them and pick up other ones. Like they're all about the same. Unless it's Brandon, unless it's Aubrey, they're all about the same. Like,
so I have Siebert the highest.
That makes sense.
Then Richard.
It is this week.
Yeah. And Bass, and then then McLaughlin. McLaughlin's lowest on that list for this week, so I'd go Siebert.
Okay.
Makes it pretty easy.
All right. So he's already got the right kicker. Cool. It was one league for that trade question. So then, Anthony, that comes back into the idea of like, what do the other teams look like? The answer doesn't really change too much, but
the real answer is $5. Get a roster resolution.
That would be an answer. And then we'll go through all of it. We'll give you like a 20, 30
We'll go through your entire league.
We'll give you... Yeah. We'll give you other options as well, trades that you might not have thought of. We'll sit down and go through it, put it under the microscope. Available on our website, which is easy to find. It's importantnonsense.com. It's not hard. Yeah, importantnonsense.com. It's a roster resolution, and we'll take a look at that. I'm working half a day on Friday, buddy. I got some time for you this Friday afternoon. $5. What's that?
I'm out this Friday, but I'm sure Steve could be able to help you. Or
that'll be easy. Let's see. Yeah.
Afro Circus.
That was the noise I was making when they snapped Bonix the football. It was like do 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 because it's just running in circles. It's like, oh god, and then it works because he's just fast enough to not die. He's got to learn.
Jaden Daniels.
He's got to learn how to play in the pocket at some point. Jaden Daniels at least runs like he knows where he's going. Bo Nix is literally running for his life. Like there's a difference. Daniel is back. Welcome back, Daniel. It's good to see you as always.
Hope he wasn't he the one on the trip? Yeah. Weren't you on your business trip?
Or is that? No, that's the other Daniel. Daniel Eberhardt has been on assignment for his job.
All right.
I have Dak Baker.
It's a trade.
Yeah.
Trade Dak Baker. Nope. I give him Bijan, Puka, Pittman, receive Daniels, CMC, more Mooney. I wouldn't be doing that.
You got to give up Bijan and Puka and Pittman, and you're going to get a quarterback that would be an upgrade, I guess.
Over Dak, yeah.
Over Dak, but honestly, we just got done saying how we would probably both play Baker down the stretch. I don't know if Daniel was here for that.
Bijan has one of the best rest of season schedule.
Yeah, Bijan's rest of season schedule is good. Christian McCaffrey is obviously good, but like I don't want
something I don't know.
Well, it's more I don't really want DJ Moore at all.
Yeah,
like that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, no. I actually think you're sitting in a pretty good spot. If anything, I'm trying to move. It's going to be impossible to do, but I'm trying to get rid of JSN and Wandale. I mean, even potentially Sutton. Sutton just had a big week, but
well, it's like set this lineup, right? So it's like you're going to play Baker, Bijan, and Swift.
Yep.
If it's 2 running backs, it probably is.
Playing
And then
Puka.
you're going to play Puka, Olave, Pittman would be my guess, or
Yeah.
maybe Wandale occasionally. We'll see how Pittman does.
We'll see how
And
Wandale does. He's been on the struggle bus lately.
yeah, and then tight end, defense, kicker, right? So the alternative to that is you would be playing Jaden Daniels, Christian McCaffrey, Swift,
Puka, Olave.
Puka, Olave.
Mooney? Is Mooney above Pittman? It's pretty close.
It doesn't matter. One of the people you well, he's getting rid of Pittman. He'd be getting rid of Pittman.
Yeah, so it'd be, I mean.
So you'd be playing Wandale, Sutton, JSN, DJ Moore, Mooney. It's going to put you in this weird, and honestly, that's like a week-to-week thing. You're going to have to make that decision every week. So it's like, do you think that that's going to make it better? That's the question, Jason. Do you think it would make it better? Because basically you'd be upgrading at quarterback a little bit. On theoretically, you're upgrading at running back. Theoretically.
Yeah.
I know that's weird to say about Christian McCaffrey, but we are into theory at that point with that.
Yeah, dude hasn't played what will have been 9 weeks of football.
Love his schedule on to play devil's advocate on that. But yeah, hasn't played football in forever, and you're still going to retain Puka and Olave, which is fine, but then you're going to have like a whole mess at flex that you have to deal with.
Oh no, he gets rid of Puka.
Oh, he is getting rid of Puka. Okay, so you'd be playing Olave.
Yeah, that hurts. Nope.
I'm passing.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you're giving up too much for.
I don't want to give up. It's the giving up of like the Bijan CMC thing is kind of like not enough of a swing to justify losing Puka. So Daniel's 3-5 and he's panicking by his own admission. So okay.
Well, you have Puka back. You play Bijan. You play Swift. You play Baker.
I think I like my team better the way that it is. I would rather just run it out this way with. And look, the trade deadline is next week. By the way, is not now. You have 2 weeks, I would imagine, before your trade deadline. So week 9, week 10. So here's what I would do. I would run it out this week, because then, and I would play Baker. Like I'll set your lineup. I would play Baker, Bijan, Swift, Puka, Olave, Pittman. I think
it's close. We'll see.
Yeah, one of the flexes that's kind of the one that's a decision. You're either going to play one of the flexes. I'm just going to say Pittman for the sake of clarity, and then see how that goes. And then at that point, if you're 3-6, panic all you want, buddy. Panic all you want. Do something crazy. Go nuts. Go ham. Because you know what? At that point, you have to win out. You literally have to win out at that point. So you can go ham at that point. Trade to your heart's content. Blow up the world. Like, because the odds on people winning out when they're 3-6 aren't good. And I'd rather go down swinging, making a million trades than go down with my team looking like crap. So that's what I would rather do. It's a mental thing. It'll make you feel better. At least you tried. But I would give it one more week. But I can understand why this would be frustrating because you've had a lot of injuries and a lot of frustrating players on this team. But I'd give it one more week. See if you can claw back to 4-5. And then we reevaluate at the trade deadline.
Yeah, then we're looking at trading Swift and like maybe even Pittman or Sutton for like Stevenson and something.
Yeah. Yeah, we work on trying to also maybe find a flex that
is more
is
consistent.
productive.
An upgrade.
Yeah, some sort of like upgrade at flex would help this. Okay. He offered him Javante. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's not gonna
all
happen.
right. All right, never mind. All right, I should have read that more. I should have read that more closely. That was. Do
So
you think
think?
Cooper will play? Oh, wait. Do we think? I think the question is, do we think Amari Cooper is not going to play? Do we think Amari Cooper plays or no? I think is the question.
I mean, probably it just depends on the thing we don't know is how effective he'll be. Because realistically, what he's doing when he's out there is opening up Coleman and Shakir and really helping move the ball that way. Because even though just the threat of him being on the field is enough to pull coverage.
He had 15 points in his first game with the Bills. You
Yeah.
like that. And then a lot of people are upset because of the Seahawk game because he put up like a 1. Okay.
They also didn't need to do anything.
Well, no, that's not. He hurt his wrist in that game and they sat him down. It's not hard. That's why Keon Coleman had a huge game because Keon Coleman was out there because he's healthy. And Amari Cooper is 30 and he beat up his wrist. And as somebody who is unfortunately on the other side of 30, I'll tell you, as you get older, you throw your wrist out, it doesn't just automatically heal the way that it used to. You're not made of magic anymore. You're mortal. And the other side of this is as follows. The Bills need Amari Cooper for the playoffs. That's what this is about. Like, the Bills don't really need Amari Cooper for a Seahawks game that they were already whooping the crap out of the Seahawks anyway by that point. So it doesn't really matter if he wants to go sit down and grab some pine and have some Gatorade. It's not relevant. So the issue that I'm going to have.
I'm reading the playbook than anything else.
Right. Go read the playbook. Go look at some Polaroids. Have some Gatorade. Take a nap.
Watch some video.
Yeah. Try not to get rained on, given how that game went. Like, don't worry about it. We're good. We can beat the Seahawks without you. It's more important that he's available for things like the Kansas City game in week 11, the Detroit game in week 15, the San Francisco game in week 13. Like, these are things that matter a little bit more. And also the playoffs because the Bills probably going to the playoffs. Got to believe that's a thing. Like, so if there's even a chance that they don't need him, I could see them saying, go sit down. There's still half a season left. We'll figure out the play. You'll learn the playbook still. It's fine. We're good. So it does make me a little nervous about him playing this week. And even if he does play, the question does, to Jason's point, the question does become, okay, if he lands weird at some point on his wrist, or if he just gets rolled up on or something fluky happens, is he just done right there? So Glitchy, I can tell you're concerned about this. What are your other options? Post them. Post your other options. Let's see what your other options are.
Guess who knows? We might be able to find.
We did this already. We did this. We already covered this. It's Swift or Kate Otten, and we already said Swift is the safer play. Otten has the higher upside.
Yeah.
It just depends on what you're looking for.
And at this point, play Swift.
That's what I would do. I would play Swift over Otten because I would already be playing Otten as my tight end. We learned this lesson, Jason. We learned this lesson that what did we learn is that we follow the advice we give and we play Kate Otten in every lineup because that's the way the world works. Like, where do you think I have Kate Otten rated this week?
1.
No.
Oh.
No. Oh no, wait, that's rest of season. Hold on. It might be 1. No. 3.
Who's above him?
3. Brock Bowers, who I've had at 1 for a long time and continues to be there. And then I got a wild hair and I put Kelsey at 2.
Yeah.
Coming off that 20, going up against Tampa Bay's defense that I'm on record as saying is terrible. Big tight end game, that game with Kelsey and Otten. Big tight end game, that. But yeah, I have Otten at 3. So like I said, realistically, I'm playing Otten. Okay. So he has Bowers. So I get it. Bowers draws Cincinnati, by the way. So I wouldn't call you crazy though if you were going to sub out Bowers and put Otten in there. Like, I wouldn't call you crazy. So I get the question. I still stand by my answer. I would play Swift, more than likely, and because I think he is he's the more consistent option. But if I needed to hit some sort of wacky home run, I would play Otten and hope he falls into the end zone twice. Because I think if that's what it comes down to, is like I'm projected to lose this game by 15 points or whatever, and I need touchdowns. Okay, then I'm going to play Cade Otton in my flex and hope he falls into the end zone twice. Because Cade Otton, since the injury started, is rocking an 18 and a 29 in PPR back to back.
Yep.
So I have to imagine that the Chiefs are smart and they know that, like, we're going to take away the thing that you're going to do the most, which is weirdly throw the ball to Cade Otton. So I would think that they're going to make it a point, try to emphasize that, because they're going to watch the tape from the last 2 weeks, and it's like, well, what are they doing? They're just throwing dump offs to Cade Otton. So I think that's what it's going to be. All right. Standard pick 2: Hall, Mixon, Chase Brown, Brian Robinson.
Probably Hall and Mixon.
Yeah, there's a couple good choices.
Hall. Where the hell did Mixon go?
I have it as Mixon. I have it as Mixon and Hall.
Okay. Yeah. Robinson's below that. And who's Brown? Brown's below that. Yeah.
Yeah. Standard: Waddle, Dobbs, or Leggett. I'm going to remove Leggett immediately from consideration.
Well, my issue is Love potentially being out. Like, I think either way, it's probably Dobbs, just based on pure usage. Yeah, dude's out there all the time. They've been feeding him more.
But it's standard, so it's all down to who's going to score a touchdown.
Oh, if that's the case, it's Leggett.
Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm playing Waddle. That's what I'm doing. Like, because the rest of these options scare the living crap out of me. So I'm gonna play Waddle, and I'm not gonna get cute. I hate the Dobbs matchup against Detroit, especially with the questions around his quarterback. And I'm not sold on Leggett at all, even though I know he had a decent game last week. And that is my answer. So I'm playing Waddle. What are you gonna do, Jason? Pick a name.
Since it's standard, I'm going to go Leggett.
All right. I wish you well. Standard pick 2. It's a nickel for every standard question, Daniel. Oh wait, he already paid up front with his $10. Damn it! I can't be mean about this anymore. Nah, I'm gonna push on through. I'm gonna be mean anyway. Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker, Achane Dobbins. Whoa, hang on. That's really confusingly worded. You pick 2, and then one of the 4 that he wants to put on the trade block.
Okay, I have Walker and Achane the highest.
Hang on, I'll tell you. I have Walker.
They're all pretty close though.
They are pretty close.
Outside of Dobbins. Where the heck do I have Dobbins?
Yeah, I'm struggling to find Dobbins as well, and it makes me think that I've scrolled too far.
No, I don't think you did. I have him at 23.
That doesn't make sense. Oh no, I haven't. Okay, yeah, I have been 21. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do I have a 21 in standard? Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, I got it. I see why I did that.
We got
I see why I did that. It makes sense. Yeah, okay. It's Kenneth Walker and it's Achane. And then as far as one of them that you want to try and put up on the trade block for a wide receiver, we got to go rest the season here. And I got to flip it to standard. And this gets interesting because the one that I think you're going to get the most return for is Walker. Second choice on that, second most return would be Achane. So it's like that's where you're going to get the most return. But those are also the two that I want to keep. Those are like the better ones. So Dobbins is the one that I want to trade because I'm not sold on his knee, nor am I sold on his schedule, nor am I sold on the Chargers in general. So he's the one I want to trade, but he's the one you will get the least return for.
Yeah,
And
I
so
still
Aaron
think Jones
Jones,
is the one.
and
That
Aaron Jones is literally in the middle of everything I just said. He's the medium choice.
he's currently RB15, and
I
only
have
has
him. Yeah, he's.
2 weeks that
I have him as
he hasn't hit.
RB17 rest of the way, but he actually has a decent schedule.
Yeah, he hasn't had double digits in 2 weeks out of the 8 or 7 that he's played.
Yeah.
So
The two that I would try to trade is Dobbins and Jones, and see what I could get. That's what I'm going with here. I have no particular issue trading Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is probably the one that you probably end up getting settled on, because if you try and trade Dobbins, I have a feeling people are going to be like, I don't want Dobbins. I don't want Dobbins. And then they're going to talk you into giving them Jones anyway. So I would try to trade Dobbins because that's the one that I actually want to trade. But I would settle for trading Jones if I had to. And I'm keeping Achan and AW and KW3. All right. PPR, pick 2. Shakir, Judy, Sutton, Washington, Watson.
Shakir and Sutton.
The answer is The answer is Tillman. I'm just being a jerk.
I was like, did I miss?
No, you did. No, you did. The answer is go pick up Tillman. It's Shakir. I'm looking at rest of the season. And now I have to recalibrate my rankings.
Yeah, back to just this week.
The answer, it's Shakir. Shakir is definitely happening. That's number 1. I don't even need to look. No. Where is Sonny? Where did I put?
You probably have him too low because of the inconsistency with
Simpsons. Oh. No, see, that's the thing. I moved Sutton up because it's the Baltimore secondary, and their secondary is crap. And I'm not sold on Parker Washington. I mean, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Cute idea. Interested to see where it goes. Like,
that's the reason I brought him up on the show. It's because it's like something you definitely want to watch and know about.
He had a couple little flashes last year, and then he got hurt. The thing about Parker Washington is he's tiny. He's like, Jason, how tall are you?
5'9".
You're like 5'9". Yeah, you're probably taller than Parker Washington is. Like Parker Washington is like, it could just be a function of the fact that he's on like the football field with Giants, but he looks like little baby man out there. Like it's like he's just teeny. And that's why when he got hurt last year, I was like, that's not surprising. He's just little. Like, he's just a little guy. Like, if he gets wrapped up properly, he's going to get killed.
Oh, he beat me. 5'10".
That's the NFL being generous. You're good.
Yeah,
he's
5'10", 204.
He's not 5'10". He's not 204. Get out of here. Get out of here. That's not real. What? Yeah. What has he got? Wolverine bones? He's got an adamantium skeleton? Like, no, I don't buy that for a second. I don't believe you. It's no chance. He's like a $180, soaking wet. It's no way. I refuse. I reject that premise out of hand. For me, it's going to be Shakir and Sutton to actually answer your question. Because Shakir, just in general, as we've been talking about all show, and then Sutton matchup play. Sutton's a matchup play this week. Sutton is a good flex option this week. It is literally like playing with matches, but Sutton's a good flex option this week.
Yeah. Again, like the idea, Judy, running the most routes. Just
welcome back, Daniel.
Hey.
Hope you had a good time on your business trip. All right. Here. I don't want to read that. I'll read it later. Craft. Yeah. Half point even.
Well, question it is.
Oh, you know what?
Williams
No,
second
I
week?
have Laporta. I have Laporta higher because Green Bay is actually not good against the tight end, and I've lowered some of the Packers because I don't know what's going on with the quarterback.
Well,
So
I
right
wasn't
now,
sure on
I'm
Williams,
saying
or yeah, Jameson Williams is still out, right?
yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, he's suspended for the
Correct.
PED thing.
That's where I think, yeah. So I do have Laporta higher this week as well.
It's Laporta. Laporta, Daniel. Laporta. Sorry for the back and forth on that. The brief interlude there. It's Laporta. We agree. It's all right. Knicks or Kyler?
I think I have Knicks higher.
I think I have Kyler higher.
Separated by a spot.
Kyler has been very irritating.
Playing the Bears.
I have Kyler higher. Because yes, I know it's not a great matchup, but it's the fact that he keeps finding weird ways to get it done, as annoying as it is. It's not pretty. But yeah, I have Kyler. I wouldn't say you're crazy for playing Knicks. Knicks has the better matchup, but Knicks has also the higher potential of totally flaming out and killing you. That's the problem there. Knicks is much more higher ceiling, but much lower floor. The floor is literally in the basement with that. All right, pick 2. Downs, Singletary, Reed. Downs and Reed, baby.
I think Reed is, again, depending on quarterback.
Yeah, but my other option is Singletary, and don't love it.
Yeah.
So that's.
Is there something going on with Tracy? Did he not practice today? I felt like
he is technically in the concussion protocol, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty sure.
So it'd be down to Singletary if Malik is quarterback.
And well, it would definitely be Downs and Singletary if Tyrone Tracy wasn't playing.
Correct.
Would be the other part of that. But it's Wednesday, so I'm going to sit
Monday. Right?
Yes,
Didn't they just play?
They did. That was the
Monday.
Monday.
A short week.
So it's a short week. So I'm going to tell you right now, on Wednesday, with the information I have, it's Downs and Reed. That's what it is. But if you come back to me on Sunday, that answer may change. But as if we had to set lineups right now, Downs is happening no matter what. You want me to do the Downs thing? Where's my down? Where's my brain? Hang on, it's over here. I posted this.
Yeah.
And I had to double check this to corroborate it. But I've been doing my Daniel. You might not have been here. I've been doing my trade targets. Next week, Jason and I, as part of the show, are going to do trade target buys and sells roundup type of thing next week. And spoiler alert, Josh Downs is going to be on there. So Josh Downs with Joe Flacco. 26.5% target share, wide receiver 8 on the season. 9 catchable targets per game. That's wide receiver 1. 19.2 fantasy points per game, wide receiver 7. Josh Downs with Anthony Richardson. 21.1 target share, wide receiver 32. 3.3 catchable targets per game. That's wide receiver 66. That's puke. 9.6 fantasy points per game, wide receiver 52. Here's the thing about that. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people aren't going to be aware of what that is. So Downs is flying under the radar still. We will see how this week goes as to determine relative price points at the deadline. But Downs is circled and highlighted on my trade target spreadsheet that I've put together in the background. Oops, we weren't done doing this. So that's what I'm telling you. Downs and Reed right now. Ask this question again on Sunday morning or Saturday evening, whatever it is. Hawkinson or Goddard?
Well, we're not sure Goddard's playing, so I'm going to go Hawkinson.
Not sure Hawkinson's playing either, technically speaking. But it's going to be
practice though. One of them practice this today.
I was going to say it's probably Hawkinson. Because I don't know that Goddard's going to play. Man, that man is hurt. HURT. That's not good. Flowers, Downs, or Javante, PPR. Well, it's going to be Downs.
Yeah.
So it's going to be downs. Like, guess what, Daniel? Get used to me saying that because we're going to be saying it a lot. My only hope is that with the move to Flacco, that it doesn't just boost downs, that it also elevates Michael Pittman out of the basement. It's my only hope. I hate it here. It's kind of where we are. Like, half PPR, Tank Bigsby, Eckler, Moss, or Christian Watson. I'm throwing Christian Watson away.
Yeah, it's going to be Eckler.
God, that's depressing.
Yes, it is. But
it's also depressing that I think I agree with you because Etienne's going to play more than likely.
We believe, yeah.
We believe that. I'm saying odds are trending towards Etienne making his return this week.
Yeah.
So
it also is an ideal matchup for Bigsby because, again, Eagles' front is solid on defense.
And their secondary is puke. And correct. That's how you. It's
that's why like Etienne is the.
It's very similar to the Ravens in a lot of ways. It's actually like a more pronounced version of the Ravens. Their front is better and their secondary is worse. And the Ravens have the same problem. It's just slightly less noticeable. It's so really, it's Eckler or Moss. Well, that makes this easy. Hang on, let me tell you.
Should be real easy because Commanders play the Giants, who again decent front.
Oh, yeah, it's Eckler.
Play the Raiders.
Oh God, I hate my choices. Okay, yeah, it's Eckler, and I hate it. It's Eckler, and I hate everything about it. Daniel, I'm sorry. It's Eckler, and I hate it. It's disgusting. Is Cedric Tillman available? Can I play Cedric Tillman? Is it too late?
Woof.
Can we go and get University of Tennessee graduate? I don't even know if he graduated. University of Tennessee former player. Where you been going, Daniel? Where are they sending you?
Tell them no.
No. No to this as well. Also no. Easy. Easy peasy. Also no.
It depends on what's available. What you're dropping it
Not
for.
really. No,
I guess it's an IR spot.
Yeah. Is Cedric Tillman available? Oh, damn. It's been hot in California. I work with a lot of people in California. They've been for puppies. Oh, that's right. I forgot what Daniel does for a living. We had this conversation last year. I completely forgot about this. Well, I hope you had a nice time in California. From what I understand, it's been very warm. It's been very nice out there. From talking to people. Not like here in Denver where it snowed today.
Well, isn't there wildfire still going on in California?
Not sure. Not sure on that one. I know the people I know in the wow. That's a cross-country flight with puppies. Okay.
The thing that sucks about that is they fart a lot because of the pressure.
Oh yeah. I don't know anything about dogs.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm not like the person.
I was looking at being a vet, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know anything about dogs. It's not that I don't like dogs. I love dogs, but it's just I don't know anything about them. I've never owned dogs. I don't know anything about dogs. Like, I am like the worst person to ask. Like people are like, people are like, what's toxic to dogs? And I'm like, well, I know you're not supposed to give them chicken bones because they're too soft and they'll crunch them and then they'll choke. I know that, but like outside of that, I have no clue. I think grapes you're not supposed to give to dogs.
What did you just say?
I think grapes are toxic. I think grapes are toxic to dogs. Yeah, I think grapes are toxic to dogs. I don't think we're supposed to have grapes.
Technically, well, toxic.
I know chocolate. You're not supposed to give dogs chocolate. I know that.
It's another allergy. Yeah.
Hey, I'm right. Grapes, onions, and chocolate. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Well,
onions, really?
And now peanut butter with xylitol.
I don't even know what xylitol is. That's a good question. I don't know what that is. So
the little things that like I said, it's weird.
Yeah, okay.
They started putting it into peanut butter. It's like a thing from plant, like adds more sweet flavor. I don't know why they're changing a recipe, but you have to watch that if you're giving your dogs peanut butter.
Interesting.
Not that you
care. The more you know.
You're more a cat person, right?
No, I'm super allergic to all of this. Like that's the reason I've never owned dogs or cats because I'm super allergic to both of those things. Cats, like I can tell if you own a cat just by standing near you because I can smell it. And I know that cats and I know this is a me thing. Trust me, I know this. if people own cats, I can usually tell because there's this faint burning smell coming off them, and that's not what cats smell like to them, but it is to me because I'm super allergic to it. So it's literally my sinuses are like, no, no, do not want. And dogs, it depends on breed. Some dogs I am super allergic to. What are those little dogs called? Those little Italian greyhounds? Super allergic to those things.
Whippets.
Whippets. Any kind of whippet or little or big or little doesn't matter. Any kind of whippet or greyhound, I'm super allergic to those. It's in there. It's in their
Here.
no, it's in their salivary glands.
Oh.
They'll lick me and I'll break out in hives instantly. Like dog licks my wrist, just hives down my wrist. So this is why it's like I'm not. And there, people are like, well, you could get the shots, and I'm like, ma'am, because this usually there's a reason I said that, ma'am. That is not gonna do anything. You know what I mean? Like, what? Okay, we're gonna get shots. I'm still gonna be covered in hives. It's not a good plan. But there are other dogs that I'm not allergic to. German short hair pointer, not allergic to that. But I'm like mega allergic to like Labradors and things like that. So that's why I don't own dogs. That's why I've never had dogs and I don't know anything about dogs.
I feel like you just need to get a naked mole rat, and you could just pull off the full unstoppable.
It's not again. You're thinking about this wrong. It's the dander that lives in their salivary glands and in their skin. It has nothing. It's not even the hair. It's literally the dander that exists in their skin and in their mouths of all mammals that I am allergic to. Make fun of me as you will. I know that sounds like some boy in the plastic bubble crap, but it's a real thing that it is my issue. Like, I don't normally go into this with people. We're here. That's why I don't really own pets. Like, that's the reason. Is that's why I don't really deal with pets, and I don't really want. People are like, that's so sad, and I'm like, look, it's not that big of a deal. Like, it's okay. That's why I don't know anything about dogs because I've never owned a dog. Because it's like the idea that I would own a dog is like, how is that going to work? It's not going to work very well. Like, but I pet sit for people. My neighbor has a dog that's like, I don't know what kind of dog it is. It's he calls it Huck. Because it chases frisbees, and I love that dog. I'm allergic as hell to it, but I love it. I pet sit for him. I walk him, take care of him when he's gone on business trips and stuff. But like I wouldn't like want him in my house because once the dog comes in the house, I'd have to like steam clean the ceiling. Like it's not a good plan. Like it. All right, drop one.
Mason.
It is Mason.
It's close with Warren, so I can.
Yeah, it's Mason or Warren. I'm not cutting Myers because there's a non-zero chance that Myers might matter. I'm not cutting Shakir because you're probably going to play Shakir at some point. Sutton is the same thing. There's weird flex weeks where that could happen.
Same thing with Mooney.
And same thing with Mooney. Warren has been very inconsistent all year, and I still maintain that I think he's hurt.
Yeah.
And that he's playing through some sort of injury that's just going to dog him all year. And the reason that I think they won't deactivate him, I think they're trying to tell you without telling you. Did you see all the stuff today about people saying that the Steelers believe that not only is Warren the best pass blocker on their team, that he's the best pass blocker in the league at the running back position? And see, when they say things like that, I think what they're saying is that's why we're like, he probably is hurt, but that's why we're going to keep playing him because we need him to pass protect. Like, we need him out there in pass pro. And have you seen the Steelers? You know what I mean? They need all the help they can get. Like, whatever advantage they can get, they should use. So it will be Mason because Mason, as we've known all year, is the one with the most limited shelf life, and he has the shoulder injury now.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Mason, I think, by attrition. Because Warren, there's a non-zero chance that Warren could still
do something.
But Mason is going to be relegated anyway. Oh, here we go. Only RBs he has are Mason, Warren, Spears, and Henry, and CMC. So he has to play Henry and Spears because of buys.
Yep.
Doesn't really change my answer.
Yeah. No.
Does not change my answer. All right, Jason. Well,
because you have CMC, you could probably hold on to Mason just because, unfortunately, I know. I'm just
If that's the case and you want to do that, then cut Warren, because to be honest with you, it's not really that much of a difference one way or the other.
Yeah.
If it moves the needle for you at all, then just cut Warren. Like, if having the theoretical handcuff to CMC. See, I think what we've learned though is that the handcuff is whoever's available that week.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we've learned here. Yeah, is whoever happens to be healthy. Because lest we forget, this is Shanahan we're talking about here, and people have forgotten about the pre-CMC Shanahan era of starting Jermichael Hasty. Remember that? Yeah. Hated that too. This day was always coming, Daniel. This day has been etched in stone with Mason, that he was a temporary thing and this was always going to be this way. So it's very unfortunate, but yes, the window to trade Mason was unfortunately 2 weeks ago.
Well, he couldn't have anyway because he has CMC. So
that's a good point. He already had he was the person that you were going to trade.
Yeah, you were our target.
You were going to trade him to yourself. That was not going to work. So, all right, that makes sense. Let's just we're waiting on some more questions come in. So let's do the other thing. Jason, who's your quarterback start of the week?
Assuming healthy, Derek Carr versus the Panthers. I know. But they
all over.
It's the Panthers. The Panthers are the one who made him look like this team was going to be awesome in week 1. It's pretty much the same setup because Bryce Young, more likely under center again. Like, I am not worried about this at all.
It's the best matchup you could have.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
To come back to, especially. Let's do it.
It's the best matchup you could have. And that's saying something.
He put up what? I think the Saints put up 41 points that week.
It was something stupid. As gross as it is, I can understand the rationale. For me, it's Bo Nix for all the reasons we talked about earlier. Bo Nix is on the development track that you hope your rookie quarterback will be on. The game appears to be slowing down for him. He has proven to be quite the weapon with his legs. And unlike Anthony Richardson, who was just running to run, Bo Nix is running to throw. And that is a big difference when you're evaluating quarterbacks. He is running to set up throw and can run when he needs to, whereas Anthony Richardson is just running because he's terrified. He's running for his life. And Bo Nix is
actually protecting himself too when he does run.
No, he's not. He thinks he's in college where he can just body up people, and it's like, this is the NFL, sir. You can't do that.
He slid a couple times. It's a slow maturation for him.
Well, and Bo Nix though has been on a very solid developmental track, and if you're looking for a streaming option, I will be recommending Bo Nix a lot. Get him on waivers, stash him. I remember at the beginning of the year, I brought this up, even going back to 32 teams in 32 days, where it's like, well, if Bo Nix has a rushing floor, then you might be onto something here. And no one's talking about it, but it's all dependent to his rushing floor. 9 weeks into the season, almost, we're starting to see it's starting to happen. The rushing floor is there. The game is slowing down. He's able to actually throw the ball. The game doesn't look like it's moving too fast for him. He doesn't look terrified. And he's making the most of the weapons that he has. They're not great, but he's using them. And there's a reason that team is 5-3, because he's not killing them. You know what I mean? Like, he's not crashing the car and making a bunch of stupid mistakes. He's playing pretty tight. So I like, and we talked about it at the beginning of the show for anyone who came in late. Great schedule rest of the way for Mr. Bo Nix. Young Bobo, as I refer to him in our friends and family league. My team is Young Bobo because I picked him up at one point, put him on there. So he's Young Bobo. It's what it is. Like, it's so that's where we are. I like him as a stash, and this is going to be something that we probably revisit several times.
Yeah.
And if you don't like that, or Bo Nix is already gone,
Jared Goff?
We'll revisit what we were talking about earlier. Jameis Winston and Daniel Jones. If you're rooting around in the garbage, if you're rooting around in the dumpster, If you play in a 16-team league and you're rooting around in the dumpster, Jameis Winston and Daniel Jones are things that we will also talk about probably a lot the rest of this season, because Jameis doesn't care and he's going to huck it and it doesn't matter. And Daniel Jones has the best schedule of any starting quarterback rest of the way, which is both mind-boggling and disgusting. So there you go. Makes me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit just saying that. Who's your sit of the week, Jason?
So I have this thing where I like to hopefully do this and get somebody to show up. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could happen. My sit of the week is going to be Patrick Mahomes versus the Bucks.
Yeah, because we all know Patrick Mahomes is listening to this.
Correct. So with that in mind, what has been more? The number of points scored in a single game by Patrick Mahomes, or the number of quarterbacks that have QB1 weeks?
Well, I imagine that it's the second one, right? Like,
yeah, there's been 33 quarterbacks that have had QB1 weeks. How many QB1 weeks has Mahomes had?
0. Okay, I was gonna say 1. I was gonna say 1. Like 1.
He's had 2 where he got to QB15.
Okay, one of those being last week.
Yeah,
I imagine. Yeah. Okay.
So
I was literally thinking about it. I was like, maybe he got there last week, but I don't know. So
nope, it's close.
Yeah,
it was close. Last week was his highest scoring week.
Yeah, I know it was that, but I wasn't sure. I didn't go look. I didn't double check.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it's funny because guess the 33 quarterbacks that have had a QB1 week includes Marcus Mariota, Drake May, Bo Nix,
weird crap. Yeah.
Andy Dalton, Malik Willis.
It's a weird one.
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I could see it because we've been talking about this all year with Mahomes. The way I've been explaining this to people going back to the preseason, that people are spending high round draft picks on Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, well, you're going to be sad. And to me also, Jason, as I told some people that I know privately, it's the mark of the noob. If I see people taking Patrick Mahomes early, I assume you're kind of a noob at fantasy football. Like, you don't really know what you're looking at, and you're trying to apply real football logic to fantasy football, which, as we know, doesn't always work. Does not always work. Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So to the casual person who doesn't know much about fantasy, the Chiefs are 6-0. Patrick Mahomes is good at football. He's a god. Of course he must be a great fantasy option. No, not really. Like, not really. That doesn't really work that way. Like, it's effed up, but it's like you'd much rather have like Baker Mayfield. Not nearly the talent Patrick Mahomes is, but puts up way more fantasy points. So it's like that's the difference, that a lot of people, when they're new, or they might know a lot about football, but they don't understand how fantasy works. I see a lot of people fall into that trap. So it's not really their fault per se, but it is something that I've seen and I try to coach people out of, where it's like, just because somebody is good at football in real life does not always translate to them being a good fantasy option for you consistently. Doesn't always work that way. What's that guy? Remember, like Jake Delhomme won a Super Bowl. Terrible fantasy option. Like terrible fantasy option. Like, so it's like things like that happen. Like, you have weird stuff like that. What was the other guy? Eli Manning. Not a good fantasy option consistently. And then for me, real quick, my sit of the week. My sit of the week. This one's kind of tough because there's a lot of interesting matchups, and a lot of the people that have bad matchups are people you would never consider sitting anyway, like Lamar. Whereas like Lamar has a bad matchup, I don't care. It is not relevant. And so sorry, people are typing and it caused me to lose my train of thought there momentarily. For me, it's this is a tough one, but it's actually going to be Kyler, because again, Kyler is like, he gets there, but it's
usually him going for a long run for a touchdown.
He needs to get a long run in, and this is not a good week for that against a good Chicago defense. So there are things that I would consider starting over Kyler. I know earlier in the show I recommended Kyler over someone else, but that was a specific example. In general, I am down on Kyler this week and would be considering other options. Those other options include Bo Nix, Baker Mayfield, possibly Jameis Winston. Those are things I would consider over Kyler Murray. All right, real quick, we got some additional questions that just kind of came rolling in. Would you rather have Stafford or Cousins as your backup quarterback?
We kind of touched on this. Like,
We
Cousin
did.
has a better matchup.
Yeah,
rest of the season.
I'm just double checking.
Because again, the issue isn't so much Cousins, or Stafford, it's more Williams.
Right. I have Cousins based on the matchups and based on the fact that it looks like he's finally starting to round into form, but it's really the matchups. So I have Cousins by 2 spots. So it's not like a ringing endorsement, but I think Cousins has the better schedule rest of the way, and Cousins is much more prone to the boom game than Stafford is. So
Bo Nix.
I'd probably rather have Cousins over Nix at this point, but it's very close between those two ideas. For very different reasons.
Yeah.
For very, very different reasons. This is a good question. Pittman or Downs?
Downs. No.
No, wait.
Yes.
You're going to cut Pittman for Downs. Interesting.
That's his best option, yes.
I would like to know what my other options are because I feel like there are better options. Now, I will say I would do it. Makes me want to throw up, but I would do it. Before I was going to do this, I would try to trade Michael Pittman for the love of God because cutting him is kind of pointless. Here's what I would tell you, Daniel. What are my other options besides these two? I have to imagine that there's some other option, but this could be a 10-team league, so there might not be another option. Before I did this, I would try to trade Pittman, but if I had to and there was no other choice and I had to straight cut Pittman because he was my worst option, first of all, you lived a blessed and charmed existence. And there you go. That's why. Yeah, go ahead. Feel free.
Yep.
Oh, Vampire League. Absolutely. Yeah. Go do that. That's fine. You can do that. 8-team Vampire League is a disaster, by the way, Jason. Can you imagine how that's going to work? Someone's literally going to be starting like the top 20 or the top 10 fantasy things like at some point by the end of that league. It's going to be a nightmare. I've never played in an 8-team Vampire League. The smallest one I ever played was 12. I can't even imagine how that would work. Someone's going to have a god team. That's just crazy. That is nuts. But yeah, in a league like that, you can go ahead and do it, and trading Pittman's probably going to be hard. What is the waiver wire like in that league? That's got to be
probably
insane.
rolling up with Baker and just destroying teams, more than likely.
That's a weird league, man. That's a rough one. I can see why people are asking, why you're asking questions about that, because I would have questions even if I'm playing in that league. I'd be looking at it like scratching my head, like, what do I even do? Like, because you're literally looking at like all good choices. It's all good choices. Okay, hang on. We did that. Oh,
yeah, Hurts has a pretty good rest of season schedule, but secondary options.
Here's what I'll tell you. As we get into the playoffs, I need to know what size this league is. Is it a 12-team league? Because if it's a 12-team league, I want a backup quarterback. Because you're going to get to the trade deadline, and I want to hold a backup quarterback. It's the way I build my rosters. When I get into the playoffs, because I need to have a quality backup plan in case, God forbid, something happens. Because you can't trade your way out of it at that point. You know what I mean? So you want to have something just for roster construction purposes. But that being said, if this is an 8-team Vampire League, then no, I don't need a backup quarterback. We good. Because I can go pick one up when I need to. If it's a 10-team league, not in 10-team league, no Vampire, whatever, probably don't need a backup quarterback. We good. But if it's a 12-team and up league, I recommend carrying a backup quarterback. So it really comes down to what's your waiver wire situation look like in this league. That's 10-team league. I ain't really worried about it. You can typically get away without
everybody's hoarding them, but
unless everyone is hoarding quarterbacks. But all right. But you if you have Hurts, you could in a 10-team league, you could probably get away with just having the one QB at this point. I wouldn't feel obligated unless someone was hoarding quarterbacks in that league, but that person's probably losing anyway. All right. Frank is here.
What's up,
I know
Frank?
Frank from Sundays.
Yeah.
I recognize this picture.
Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I agree. Devonta Smith. I'm assuming PPR because it's not specified. So Devonta Smith.
Even if it's not.
Probably. Daniel, you're a bad boyfriend / fiance / husband. Delete as applicable. Angela, make him go sleep. Yeah. That's an eternity in fantasy. But also, Angela, go make him sleep on the lawn. Go make him sleep on the lawn. That's the right answer. Darnold or Caleb? I'm assuming just this week I have Darnold.
Darnold, I agree.
Yeah, Darnold.
2 spots.
Pitts or Bowers? Whoa, that's a weird question.
Bowers.
Oh, wait, I read that wrong. Bowers. I read that incorrectly. My brain auto-corrected Pitts to Downs. I was like, what a weird... We've had so many Downs questions that my brain is auto-correcting it at this point. Bowers, we agree. Bowers. Is Stroud droppable? What are my other options?
Yeah, more than likely in any kind of 10-team.
In a 10-team league, 12. I agree. Yes, more than likely. You probably could. That's probably fine. And then in a 12-team league, I'm going to say no, more than likely. But in a 10-team and fewer league, probably. And then I'd like to know what my other options are. But as we've pointed out, Jason, a lot of really good streaming options this year. I go back to my whole thing from 32 teams in 32 days about why paying up for quarterback didn't really make a lot of sense to me. And we're kind of living it now. Like the high price tight end strategy, National Tight Ends Day notwithstanding, has been a tire fire. And also the high priced quarterback thing has also been a little bit of a tire fire, depending on who you got. If you got Hurts, not so bad. If you got Lamar, not so bad. What about the other guys? Ooh, don't like that. Especially Richardson.
Taking shots.
Okay. Yeah, I am. Okay, so these are his other options that he could cut as opposed to Pittman.
Mooney?
Yeah, I'd cut Mooney before I cut Pittman. That's a me thing.
Yeah.
I would cut Mooney before I cut Pittman at this point, just because I'm curious to see what we get out of Pittman now that it's Flacco full time. The weeks where Pittman was useful were the Flacco weeks. So you're not cutting Flowers, you're not cutting Connor, you're not cutting Dobbins, and I'm kind of lukewarm on the idea of cutting Pickens. Mooney's the one that jumps out. I would cut Pickett or Mooney before I cut Pittman. Would be my. That's me. That's a Neil thing. Yeah, I mean, I get it. If you want to stream, look, if you want to try and trade CJ Stroud, probably not the worst idea. If you want to get off the ride, I could understand wanting to get off that particular roller coaster and just being done with it. Because there's other options that are even available on the waiver wire that are very attractive this year. So, I don't know if Stafford is really my cup of tea for that. I feel like that's the Spider-Man meme. That's like 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other. You know what I mean? Like that's not really solving my problem, but Stroud, based on name, you might still be able to get something. Make him sleep on the lawn in Cali. There's got to be a lawn there if you can make him go sleep on. They'll figure it out. Pick. Okay.
Downs. Makes it easy.
I didn't read it. It's funny. It's funny.
The first 3. Oh. Ooh.
That's a good question. I got to actually look at my rankings I got to consult my rankings here real quick. Hang on.
Again, kind of dependent because, I guess you're counting DK as out, so it's probably
I am going to play Keenan Allen against the terrible, terrible, terrible Arizona secondary is going to be my choice. That's where I'm at. I'm again assuming PPR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still,
what about you?
It's still Allen. Yeah.
Allen, yeah. Who's basically just playing tight end for the Bears at this point. Like, that's kind of what it is. R.I.P. Cole Kmet. Don't know what he did. Don't know what happened there, but R.I.P. Someone drop Jameson Williams. Drop one of them to get him off IR. Braylon Allen. Ooh.
Yeah, it's probably Ridley. As much as that sucks.
Probably would be Ridley, but do I really want to do that for Williams, who is now going to miss this game and the next game and is under investigation by the police because they found a gun in his car? Don't like that. I'm going to postulate a theory, Jason, for you. Is it possible that Jameson Williams isn't very smart? Is it possible?
He's the everyman. What are you talking about? Dude likes
Is
to
he?
bet. Likes to.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah, no, he does. He likes to gamble. He likes to shoot guns. He likes to drive his car fast.
I don't see the problem.
And he doesn't read the ingredients on supplements that he takes. Clearly, he is everyone. He is all of us. Jameson Williams. You know what? You're right. Jameson Williams is all of us. He is everyone. I like it. What am I thinking?
He is the everyman. That's what it is.
He is the everyman. He is everyone. What am I thinking? What am I thinking here? That's me in my. I got to check my privilege. That's me.
Sorry, I had to.
That man is going to get himself into some serious trouble one day. The way he's going, like it's the decision making is not great. It's extended warranty. How can I lose? Jameson Williams probably. I said probably. Get out of here. Literally, like.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I don't think I would. Mostly, again, because it comes back to rest of the season. Ridley's rest of the season is so good. And
if I was going to cut someone, it would be Ridley, but I don't want to cut Ridley.
Yeah, the double digits targets he's seeing every week.
You can't cut Allen because he's your handcuff. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut Marvin Harrison because that's a gross overreaction. So really, it's Eckler or Ridley. I don't really want to cut Ridley to pick up Jameson Williams because that's not really helping me. Like, how is that helping me in a real way? Is that an upgrade? Really? Kinda? And you know me, I don't like Calvin Ridley and never have. But I'm genuinely, we've worked how long together? Like 6-7 years? You know my feelings on Calvin Ridley. I don't like Calvin Ridley, never have. I think he's very lucky. But like, you're going the wrong way, Daniel. Yeah, you're definitely going the wrong direction. Like, that's not helping. We're not cutting Brian Robinson. Like, that's not happening. Daniel plays in these weird 8-10 team leagues where it's like making cuts is actually legitimately challenging because it's like you're cutting good things that you might want. It's either you're cutting Eckler or you're cutting Ridley. And honestly, it's like, what's Eckler doing for you? Not much. Like,
more or less 10 points.
Oh, I get it. He's okay. So you're not going to do that either.
Yeah.
So really, yeah, it's Ridley for Jameson Williams. And to be honest, I'm just going to keep Ridley. I ain't really worried about this. If someone else wants to pick up Jameson Williams and stash him and then deal with the headache, more power to you. Like, so I'm not really going to worry about it. Where do I have Jameson Williams rest of the season? In PPR. I have Jameson Williams like 5 spots ahead of Calvin Ridley in my rest of season rankings, but I just realized that I didn't adjust this because of the suspension. So I'm literally going to have them right next to each other. And here's where the deciding factor is. Calvin Ridley's schedule, as was pointed out earlier, and even at the beginning of the show as well, excellent. Excellent schedule. So don't worry about it. That really only matters in week 14, Daniel, as we were saying. So don't worry about that for right now. I wouldn't cut any of that's not what I would be cutting. Oh, it's this league. We looked at this on one of his roster resolutions. It's this league. Oh, fun. Okay. Yeah, I stand by my answer. Not cutting. Not cutting Calvin Ridley for Jameson Williams because that literally doesn't do anything for me. You go to bed. You're a towel. Never. Yeah. You know what? You know what? Fine.
See, he had to go and make him mad. It's just how it goes. Brutal. Mason, now it's going. You have to come and fill in. That's what you get. Telling him he's old. You're not that much younger, but still. But Neil, who's going to get my running back start of the week?
Have Mason come do it. I'm too old, apparently. I'm too old to stay up late. Young punks. Now I know who's been leaving those flaming sacks of garbage on by my front door, or that. Now I know who's been doing it. Mason. Dell or JSN. Again, assuming PPR. It's not specified. I have Dell.
I believe it depends on if DK's out or not.
It does actually. That's a good call.
Because if he is out, it's going to be JSN. Otherwise, it's Dell.
I knew it. Yeah. Got it in writing. That's litigible. Yeah, I have Dell at in like the 20s.
Oh, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, I don't love it, but yeah, and I have JSN at like 29 or something. Yeah, it's gonna be Dell. We're gonna do Dell. That's what I'm going with. And all right, we did quarterback starts and sits. Running back start and sit. Go ahead, Jason. Who's your running back start of the week?
Gonna make you feel dirty because it's Alexander.
I already know what it is. I can read.
Alexander Madison versus the Bengals.
Yep. Feel dirty.
Yep.
Need a shower.
Has been under double digits only 3 times. He gets another good matchup. Bengals give up 100 yards or TD to the running back position. So guessing this week he remains at double digits, and that usually puts you up in the top 24. Madison's uses in passing game gives him an additional boost. And Zamir White, even though he has been back the past 2 weeks, hasn't done a whole lot to make me worry about Madison's role.
That's pretty good. It's pretty
what you got, Neil?
Good. It depends. I've got well, one of them depends on something happening. So if Tyrone Tracy cannot play, Devin Singletary is very attractive against a soft Washington run defense. So, but that is all dependent on Tyrone Tracy not playing in this game. So if Tracy cannot clear the concussion protocol, which as of Wednesday he has not done, on a short week, by the way, as was pointed out earlier, makes it kind of dicey if that's going to happen. I would be a big proponent of Devin Singletary, but only if Tyrone Tracy no play. So because of that, we have to have some sort of fallback position. And believe it or not, that fallback position is Rachaad White. It on paper is a brutal matchup against Kansas City. However, Rachaad White is not going to play running back in this game. He is going to catch a million dump-offs as the Buccaneers scramble like crazy to try and score points and do anything they can to stay in that game. So, yes, on paper, that is a brutal matchup. Horrible for Rachaad White. But I think the one who really suffers here is Bucky Irvin. And
Yeah.
the real winner here is White, who's going to catch a million dump offs and is in PPR. That advice only matters in PPR. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, but I'm not out here giving advice for standard, except for Daniel, who pays for it.
I thought for sure you'd go with another one that I'm kind of looking at in Nick Chubb.
Okay, I thought about Nick Chubb. I also thought about honorable mention Nick Chubb. I like the reports coming out this week that they're talking about increasing his workload. And Jason, you've seen your team play defense. It's not.
Well,
it's not.
This is the perfect game yet again for the Chargers to lose.
Oh yeah.
So I am taking.
100%. This is the game they should win.
For the Browns.
They should win this game, but they will lose. like that is 100%. Like what's going to happen here? Like that's your team. I'm glad you know this. Like so.
I'm pretty sure I looked at it. It was like -2. I'm like, that's too many.
Yeah, that's too many.
Too many.
Too many. Like it's you got to put even money on this game. Like that's.
Yeah,
all right, and then who
under
is
42.5.
who's your sit of the week?
Shouldn't be surprising. But Chuba Hubbard versus the Saints.
Even in the greatest matchup since sliced bread, what a shot call on this.
Yeah. Again, it's more the fact that Young is going to be under center. Would normally say yes, great matchup, but with him, 6 carries, 14 yards, 0 targets with Bryce Young. Hasn't been getting this week. His last week with him, he looked pretty good. 15 carries, 56 yards, 2 targets, 15 yards. But you know who really gets a boost up is actually Miles Sanders. Mm-hmm. They're using him a bunch of the passing game, and it's taken away from Hubbard's targets, and that makes me super nervous because if, like, I expect this game to go, Saints are going to be up, they're going to be chasing. That means more passing to Miles Sanders. So I am terrified for Hubbard for that reason.
Understandable. Understandable. It is a great matchup. So it's going to be hard.
If he was getting those pass catching role like he should be, it'd be one thing. But for some reason,
this gets tricky.
Young loves Sanders.
This gets tricky because there's so few good running backs that telling people to sit any of them is like I don't know what you're gonna do, and they're like not a whole lot of good choices. So, I have 2, and neither one of them are what I would consider sits, but they're more like pay attention and maybe expect a little less. And I know one of them is going to make some people upsetty spaghetti. Brian Robinson is one of them.
Yep.
Because he's questionable. It's an okay matchup, but
favors Eckler though.
Yeah, it favors Eckler. The matchup favors Eckler, and with Brian Robinson being beat up and Washington being like in playoff consideration, I've noticed that they're not just relying on Robinson the way that they were at the beginning of the year. They're spreading the ball around a little bit more and trying to get other people involved because they're going to get Brian Robinson killed and they need him for the playoffs. So there's a reason that if you look at like his game log, it's like 18, 14, 18, 13. And then it starts getting to like 8, because he's beat up. They're not giving him his normal run because they're trying to save him a little bit and let him get healthy for down the stretch when they really need him. Because let's be honest, they can beat the Giants without Brian Robinson. Make Eckler do it. And it does favor Eckler in this one. So don't love that, but I find it hard to believe that you're going to be willing to sit Brian Robinson given what he's done for you so far. Because even though, as I say those words, all he has to do is fall in the end zone to make all of that irrelevant. The other one is a similar type of conversation. It's Josh Jacobs. You probably don't have a better option than Josh Jacobs. You've probably been playing Josh Jacobs. But I have Josh Jacobs at 16 this week for a reason. Because I still think he'll put up a serviceable number for you. But I don't like his chances of having a really big game against Detroit. Like that's the issue. He's dealing. Okay. He picked up an ankle injury last Sunday. Don't love that. Don't know who the quarterback is. Don't love that. Division game against the Lions. Don't love that. Like, don't love a lot of the things working against Josh Jacobs this week. He's not practicing today. He's probably not going to practice tomorrow, but he's probably going to play. The issue is going to be if he gets nicked up at any level in that game, they're probably just going to sit him down. And that's my concern about Josh Jacobs. So that's going to be my concern all week about Jacobs is can he get through the week? Can he get cleared to play? And then if he does, is he just going to like go out there, play a half, and then go sit down? You might not have better options, but it is something that I have my eyebrow raised on, where it's like, eesh. A lot of negative markers working against him this week. Real quick before we do wide receiver, Madison over Chase Brown.
Yes.
I would do that. I would 100% do that. No, play Jake. You're going to play Jacobs. You're going to play. This is my whole point. Is that you're probably still going to play Jacobs, but I'm a little nervous about it. Is all. I'm not. Normally with Jacobs, I'd say you're shooting for a 20. That's kind of what your expectation is. 15, 20, 20 is what you want in PPR. But that might be a bit of a tall order for him this week. I would drop Juju for just about anything.
That's fine. I just don't like Miller also dealing with injury.
Yeah, but what's Juju doing for you?
Nothing right now.
I would cut Juju for just about anything. So whatever else you wrote, Daniel, is kind of not really relevant to me at this point. Juju is going to be gone for a hot second. The wide receiver. Wide receiver starts sets.
I'm going to go deeper because I was going to initially say Xavier, but I'm going to go Jalen Coker. Versus the Saints. At least one wide receiver.
You wrote Panthers. Just do it the way you wrote it.
Okay. Panthers wide receiver versus the Saints. Because honestly, it's more likely going to both of them. Xavier has a chance for the big play. He's seen 7 targets. Really, honestly, both saw 6+ targets last week without Johnson in. I don't think that really changes. And if that's the case, Coker gets a bigger bump. Xavier's a big play guy. Wouldn't be surprised if both hit double digits this week. So, again, really like them both. Coker's playing out of the slot, and it's like one of the best matchups for him because Saints suck against slot wide receivers.
Saints defense is still beat up, and it's kind of just bad in general at this point. So that's not going to change this week. It might by the end of the year, but it ain't going to change. And normally I would argue with you about this, but I'm already on record with my theory that every defense in that division is terrible. And the only reason it took us so long to realize it was because they all play each other. And so like they all play each other so much that it makes it hard to identify. But now that we've seen enough of it, every defense in that division is terrible. So just I would argue with you about this, but I kind of can't. I could argue with you about the Bryce Young part of it, but outside of that, okay. So that's interesting. For me, it's Cedric Tillman. And it's just going to continue to be Cedric Tillman for the foreseeable future. It's Tillman. Loved everything I saw last week. Now, I don't think he's going to score twice against the Chargers, but I am not afraid of your secondary, Jason, against Tillman. I'm not afraid of Winston being able to get him the ball. I think that there's room to go around on this team, but he has clearly made it a point that he likes throwing it to Tillman, and he likes throwing it to the mystery box, Elijah Moore. Please, for the love of God, can this team win 6 games in a row? Please do this for me. I don't ask for much. Just make this happen. Like, let this happen. So it's going to be Tillman. Second choice would be Keenan Allen for reasons that were discussed earlier in the show, because he's going to play tight end for the Bears in a fabulous matchup against a terrible Arizona secondary. So if you want to go a little deeper, this would be a good week to dust off Keenan Allen if you still have him, or pick him up if he's been cut, because I could potentially see leagues where he's been cut. So, all right, who's your sit of the week?
Devontae Adams versus the Texans.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Yeah, he just hasn't done anything yet. Has yet to get above wide receiver 47 with the Jets. Highest points has been 9.4. Still learning the offense. He's really opening it up for Wilson and Hall, which should both have big games this week. And again, his last double-digit game was week 2, and now it's with the Raiders. So
right.
It was massive, but until he learns his offense and they decide to just feed him because he needs that, I guess. It's going to be a squeaky wheel game more likely than not if that happens.
This is the opposite of running back, where it's like hard to find recommendations. The cup runneth over. There's so many terrible matchups for wide receivers this week. That's that's what my big takeaway is, that there's so many terrible matchups for wide receiver that basically once you get past the top 15 at wide receiver, everybody has a negative matchup. And even some of the people in the top 15, not great. So basically, I've got like a couple. But the winner is Jaden Reed, because he's been wildly inconsistent, which is one of the problems with the Packers in general. But now we don't know who the quarterback is. It's a bad matchup, and he's still nicked up. Love it. Great. So if I was looking for if I was like his last two games, he's rocking a 6 and a 2. And then he draws Detroit with possibly the backup quarterback going into the bye. Don't love it. So Jaden Reed would be my winner, but I have several other options for you that all have terrible matchups. Marvin Harrison has a terrible matchup this week. Chris Olave has a terrible matchup this week on paper, but that's because it's Carolina, and
you're able to do whatever you want.
Beat Carolina however you want. Yeah. Michael Pittman has a terrible matchup. The Colts is not a plus matchup this week because it's Minnesota. So it's like you've got a lot of choices for bad matchups this week if that's the game you're playing. But I think the winner has to be Jaden Reed because of the quarterback, the inconsistency issues with Reed himself, and the matchup. It's a trifecta of Reed, making me be like, I don't know if I want to play Jaden Reed this week.
Yeah, terrifying.
Yeah. Commanders or Saints defense? I would probably play the Saints defense, even though it makes me sick.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with whether or not I think the Saints defense is good in their current state. If they were all healthy, I think the Saints defense is actually decent. It's the one defense in that division that actually is decent when they're all healthy, but they're not. And but it doesn't matter because they're playing Carolina. So it comes down to turnovers, right, Jason? That's what it comes down to turnovers in that game.
And potentially fumbles, because if Miles Sanders is getting the
fumbles
ball,
not turnovers?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I always think of interceptions, and it's just like, I'm sure other people do.
I'm sorry, I have to be a smartass. Contractually obligated. But no, I have the Saints as my number 3 defense this week. And
yeah, I'm trying to see. Do I have a no? Where's the So with the most points they have scored with Bryce Young under center has been 14 this past week.
You're right.
Sorry, I just want to double check that to make sure that was the case.
Yeah, and you're almost guaranteed a couple turnovers in there. Like, nothing in life is guaranteed, obviously, but it's about as close to G-word guaranteed as you're going to get.
Yeah, so with Bryce Young, they've had 5 turnovers. 2 last week, 2 versus the Chargers, and 1 versus the Saints.
And he's played what? 4 games?
No, those are the 3 games he's played. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There you go. So you're almost you're functionally guaranteed some kind of turnover. Yeah. So that's why I have the Saints as high as I do. Last question that we have for the moment: Kelsey or McBride? I have Kelsey by one spot.
Kelsey too.
I have Kelsey by 1 spot. Kelsey against Tampa Bay is actually a good matchup, Daniel. It is.
I agree.
For the reason that we stated before, Tampa's defense sucks. That's what it is. All right. And now, without further ado, it is time to do everybody's favorite thing. Here it comes. Bear with me while I set it up. We're almost
have all this time to set it up.
No. We don't do professionalism here. Okay. All right. And ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Spin the wheel, place a bet. It's time again for tight end roulette.
Presented by Ballpark Franks. They plump when you cook them. If concept in no way affiliated with Mark Sanchez or Ballpark Franks.
All right. It's time again for everybody's favorite segment. It's the Wheel of Tight Ends, because as we know, tight end is a total crapshoot, and you might as well just spin a wheel. So we spin the wheel. Where's it gonna stop? Is it gonna stop? Tyler Conklin.
Yeah, sure.
Oh God, gross. I'm actually looking. I have Tyler Conklin at tight end 21 playing against Houston, which is actually a really bad matchup. So no, I will not recommend Tyler Conklin.
Where the heck do I have? Yes.
Dalton Schultz coming off his best game of the season last week
Nobody else to throw to, so yes.
against the Jets,
Don't care.
which is a medium matchup. As a streaming option, yes. Yeah. Wow. Gross. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hate it. Makes me want to vomit. But yes, I agree. Dalton Schultz would be a viable streaming option this week with Diggs now on IR and Nico Collins still not back. Gross. Everything about that is gross. But yes, he is a viable streaming option and is once again worth rostering. Gross. Hate it. Hate everything about that.
Nasty.
Yeah, not good. No. Not with your wife's boyfriend's credit card.
Yeah, that's pass.
Yeah, that's a hard pass for me, dog. Up. Up.
Yeah, it's fine.
I prefer Schultz.
Yeah.
To Henry. This is the vanilla ice cream option of hey, it's ice cream. You'll get something.
Yeah.
But it's not
whether it's May or Brissett.
Yeah, this is not
Brissett.
Brissett.
Okay.
Jacoby Brissett is the man's name. It's not Brissett. No one is named Brissett. I'm sure someone is actually. But yeah, Hunter Henry. I have Hunter Henry at 15, so he is a viable streaming option. But I can tell you, I would prefer things like Zach Ertz. If TJ Hawkinson is somehow still available, I'd probably prefer that once he gets medically cleared. And I would prefer Schultz. But if Henry is out there and you're looking for a streaming option, because well, there's a litany of reasons actually. Hunter Henry is the vanilla ice cream choice. You will get something. You won't get a 0. I just mentioned it. I prefer I prefer this. He actually has a really good matchup against the Giants, and believe it or not, Zach Ertz is, I believe, he is the tight end 9 currently, but he is the tight end 13 in fantasy points per game. So he is the poster child of streaming tight end this year. And I think this is a good week to do it.
Yep. That's who I've been streaming. So.
Yep. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I have multiple leagues actually where I'm streaming Zach Ertz because it was available and it was basically free. I was like, hey, it's working out. No.
Nope.
Nope.
Going enough for me.
Nope. That's going to be a hard pass. We're just going to spin the wheel again. I'm not getting into that. I don't even have time to get into it. A lot of it is Geno Smith related. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm good with this. The Colts is the best matchup you could have. Just bar none for tight ends. For some reason, they're terrible against tight end. I don't know why.
Because they're horrible against everything.
Well, their defense is bad in general, right? So, the one thing that'll give you a little bit of pause about the Hawk here is this is his first game coming back after that horrible injury from last year. So they might take it easy on him a little bit, and they might not make him go out there and do the full workload. But that being said, given what this is and it's tight end, you could do a lot worse than this. Good player, great matchup. Just some small concerns about whether or not what his actual usage is going to be. God, no. Ew.
With Young, no.
No, not even no.
Dalton, maybe.
Still no. Still a no for me.
No.
This is also still going to be a no. This is a no for me. Remember when everybody got all upsetty spaghetti about Mark Andrews and then cut him? And then now they're coming, and I told them that was stupid and short-sighted, and now they're coming back like, "Oh, I didn't cut Mark Andrews." Yeah, well, you shouldn't have done that. Like, we tried to warn you. I've had multiple people message in about that, where it's like, "Well, we cut Mark Andrews." Like, yeah, we tried to talk you out of that. That was.
Oh no, I was okay with it depending on what you were getting, but.
Yeah, but a lot of people just cut him. Like,
Yeah.
got nothing. Is my point. I'm like, that's not what you want. This is gonna be a no from me. Cole Kmet lives in two modes. And seems to be in the doghouse with the Bears for reasons I don't understand. But he either has a 20 or a 3. That's Cole Kmet's season. And I think this is
more often than not, it's a 3.
3. I think this is the 3 game. So I'm going to avoid Cole Kmet this week. And I'm going to make this easy and say that I don't want either of these two players at all.
Disley's probably okay for a stream if Hurst remains out, but
I don't want Disley. There are other options that I like better before we would get all the way to Disley. And then Jonnu Smith, no. That's going to be a pass for me. So that concludes.
Spin the wheel, place a bet. It's time again for tight end roulette.
Presented by Ballpark Franks. They plump when you cook them. Import concept in no way affiliated with Mark or Ballpark Franks.
All right.
Oh, Mark.
We're gonna get out of here in a second. Daniel, you're not gonna get anything from Mason really at this point. It's kind of too late. And I thought you already had CMC. So the person that would give you something for Mason, the window on that was closing. So let's assume that this is a different league where you don't have CMC. The window to do that was 2 weeks ago. That was like the last time. You could still check in with them on this, but the problem you're going to have now is that now he has a shoulder injury, and now they're talking about Garendo. And so you kind of like missed the boat here a little bit. If you don't roster CMC, since it is another league, if you don't roster CMC, I would still try and see if you could get anything. Because to be honest with you, Mason's going to be worth nothing in about less than 2 weeks. That's what it's going to be. So Mason's about to have 0 value in 2 weeks. So if I could ship him for like anything, I would take it. I would take a ham sandwich. Like there's like whatever, man. Like whatever I could get, because he ain't gonna be doing you nothing. You're probably gonna end up cutting him. All right. Bucky Irving and T. Higgins for Tank Dell and Madison.
It's fine. I mean, if you need running back help, and it's PPR, I'd much rather.
I'm gonna assume it's PPR.
I'm going to guess it gives you a boost at running back, but Endell's literally the only option.
Well, here's what I would tell you is I have Bucky Irving as the RB28 rest of the season. So he's like an RB3 high-end flex play. Good schedule, like the schedule, but he is in a timeshare, and he's the part of the timeshare that I don't love. If it matters to you, Jason, he does have White. So he would be getting Irving to go with White. Like, I don't know that I care because they kind of have totally different jobs.
Yeah, you'd rather have Sean Tucker.
To the extent that I even care.
Yeah.
Sure. So I do think you're getting an upgrade on the running back side. And
Somewhat neutral. They're pretty even.
yeah. I think you're I think I would take the deal, to be honest. Just because, but this is where it's going to come down to how you feel. The running back thing, I think he's getting the better end of the running back side of it, right? Would you rather have Bucky Irving? What it comes down to, Jason, would you rather have Bucky Irving or Madison rest of the season?
Madison.
Yeah, I disagree. I approach this the other way.
Yeah. I understand. I think that they're going to have to throw, and Madison's that pass catcher. I mean, he's had like 6 targets past 3 or 4 games.
Yeah,
so
but he turns it into what? 9 points
Don't
for the
care.
game? Like,
no, because then he's also getting 50 rushing yards. Like, it's
where's Madison's game log? Give me Madison's game log here. I need to double check this. I mean, okay, he had 2 good games in week 6 and 7, but he had a 9 last week, so I was correct about that. He had 9.4 against Kansas City. He still has the bye coming up in week 10. I think Bucky Irving also still has the bye. Yeah, Bucky Irving has the bye in week 11. Bucky Irving's coming off an 18, a 16, and a 15. Like, I'm maintaining. I would rather have the Bucky Irving side of this. What it comes down to is, how do you feel about T. Higgins versus Tank Dell? That's really where I think this trade.
Well, again, both are injury risk, and I would say Higgins normally because he's been stellar. Like, when he's on the field, he's so good.
Yeah, and Dell has had consistency issues, right?
Well,
like
injury,
right? That's kind of what it is. Like, he's been nicked, he's been beat up, but now the problem is the last 2 years Higgins has been beat up.
Yeah,
Higgins beat up now. I don't even know if Higgins is playing this week. Nobody asked about that. I couldn't tell you. Sitting here today, I couldn't tell you. I thought for sure he was playing last week, and then on Friday he pops up with a quad and he ain't playing. And the internet crapped itself to death on Sunday morning. You and I were talking about that on Sunday. That was not a fun way to wake up on Sunday. I was not happy. People were big mad about that, and people are so rational about these things, where it's like, I'm going to kick you in the quad as hard as I can, and then have you go run up and down a football field and see how long you can go. Like, it's not going to go well. Like, it's I'm telling you, Frank, I think we're going to split this. I don't think Jason's super excited about this trade. I would do it. I would take it. I think you're getting the better end of the deal. I want the Bucky Irving T. Higgins side of the deal, because Tank Dell kind of scares me a little bit. I understand Tank Dell's value is higher now than what it has been all season, but I think you're getting an upgrade I think you're actually technically getting an upgrade at both positions. So I would take this deal, assuming PPR. Half point PPR, I'm not interested. Standard, not interested. But in PPR, I am taking this deal. That's my thing here. So, and Daniel, the locks are going to be changed when you get home. Good luck with that, buddy. All Daniel stuff's going to be on the lawn because he's just talking too much. He's talking too much crap. He's talking too much crap. He's gone too far. He's gone too far. And with that, Jason, I think it's time that we go ahead and get out of here. All right, folks. Last chance. Last minute questions. Get them in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're out of here. All right, that's it. We tried. All right, this has been Neil. That's been Jason. We are signing off for week 9. And until we talk to you on tomorrow.
I'm back tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow Jason will be back to answer your questions. Friday, Mason will get you locked in. And on Sunday, Jason and I will do the final countdown and answer any last minute locked any last minute lineup questions, and I'm gonna go eat dinner. Welcome back, Daniel. Welcome back. I'm glad you're back from traveling. And with that, until we talk to you tomorrow, keep up the nonsense.